Whoa, what a massive crash we just saw near Talladega. After dominating the field, Bubba Wallace became the focal point of one of the season's worst pileups. The entire race was suddenly reduced to smoke, abandoned race vehicles, and complete mayhem. In every way, this was the big one. Of the 40 autos, 26 were picked up. A red flag was raised about the race. After Wallace's day was over, half the garage's thoughts abruptly shifted from a victory to a tow truck. Then, for some reason, Bubba's response, the fan outburst on X, and Fox's handling of the post-race interview segments made the entire discussion even louder. Thus, we are appropriately dissecting this today. We'll go over how the race actually played out, what led to the big one, why Bubba Wallace became the primary antagonist right away, what he said following the collision, why some fans believe Fox was trying to hide the worst aspect of the incident, and what other drivers had to say after the dust settled. To be honest, this one becomes messier the deeper you delve into it. It's important to start with how the race was going prior to the collision. Talladega did not start off as a demolition derby. In an effort to lessen the fuel mileage game, NASCAR extended the first stage to 98 laps. However, the first phase still resulted in cautious manufacturer strategy, green flag pit cycles, and drivers attempting to avoid burning out their race too early. Stage 1 was won by Brian Priest. Even if Bubba Wallace didn't yet have much to show for it, he was still very much in the running, and Ford controlled the top of the board. The entire atmosphere of the race altered when Stage 2 began. It was time to stop saving. The hostility increased. The lanes narrowed. The pushes became more intense. And with the current superspeedway package, drivers have been cautioning about precisely this. In hardly any time at all, the field shifts from being patient and slow to being completely committed and unstable. When everyone is stacked inches apart at almost 200 miles per hour at Talladega, that is an awful combination. It ultimately blew up around lap 115. It was explained quite clearly on official NASCAR coverage. At the end of the backstretch, Ross Chastain gave race leader Bubba Wallace a powerful bump. The number 23 was pushed sideways in the direction of the exterior wall. Cole Custer needed to respond. Turn 3 was reduced to a wall of smoke and smashed cars as the three-wide pack imploded into itself. That is the official order. And if we're being fair, that's important because it indicates that Bubba wasn't just spinning by himself out of pure air. Contact was made. Pressure was present. A thrust occurred. Does that absolve Bubba of all responsibility now? No. And that's precisely why this has become such a heated debate, with one side claiming that Ross Chastain simply shoved the 23 into disaster after watching the replay. Bubba was late with the block, moving around too aggressively, and asking for trouble in an area where you just cannot afford it, according to another side that watched the same replay. Because of this accident is not one of those simple Talladega events where everyone ignores it and moves on. This one placed a well-known lightning rod in the middle of it, and the destruction was horrific. A huge list of players, including Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Ty Gibbs, William Byron, Bubba Wallace, and many more, had their race completely destroyed or their day essentially terminated. Officially, 26 vehicles were gathered. That makes up half of the field. The remainder of the afternoon was drastically altered by one of the biggest wrecks in Cup racing in recent memory. The race continued after that, but it never felt quite normal again. After surviving the incident and maintaining his position, Carson Hocevar won his maiden Cup by defeating Chris Buescher by 0.114 seconds in a three-lap shootout. Indeed, Talladega concluded with a heartwarming winning story, but if we are being really honest, that wreck and its aftermath constituted the race's emotional core. After a disaster like this, social media site X, which was formerly Twitter, did precisely what X usually does. It blew up. Bubba destroyed the entire field, according to several users. Can't be bothered to apologize for all the cars he wrecked, a person said. Doesn't express his hope that everyone is doing well. What a self-righteous, entitled person. Another person asked, why does it say involved in the wreck when Bubba Wallace caused it? I believe he should switch to karting or Xfinity. He was obstructing both lanes, according to some. Others retaliated, claiming that the playback amply demonstrated the shove from behind. When asked why Wallace was accepting the blame, he pointed the finger at either Ross Chastain or the damaged superspeedway package. Wallace was even defended by some, who said, "Can someone explain to a NASCAR noob why it's Bubba's fault? He was struck from behind, wasn't he? Is it because he blocked the driver that changed lanes by swerving?" That division is evident in all of the responses, and to be honest, it precisely reflects how NASCAR fans view Talladega wrecks. Two completely different findings after one replay. Additionally, there was a second wave of criticism directed at Fox on X. The number of ads during the race broadcast infuriated several fans, who complained online that the program felt like a commercial marathon broken up by a race. That annoyance was significant because it influenced how viewers perceived the network's subsequent actions. Here's a brief pause before I discuss Bubba's entire response. Please hit like, share, and subscribe to NASCAR Central if you enjoyed this analysis and would like to see more NASCAR videos. On this new channel, we are aiming for 4,000 subscribers, and 100 likes on this video would be fantastic. This is when the Bubba tail really got off because he didn't respond to the incident with a single, clear statement. Reporting following the race stated that the initial emotion coming out of the car over team radio sounded much more like blame at Chastain. "They wrecked us," was the comment that garnered attention. When he arrived at the TV interview, the tone shifted, and many X-fans quickly took exception. Bubba took a very different approach during the interview. "Damn, right," he murmured. Obviously, the first stage was just figuring out the strategy stuff, so there was nothing to show for. "I detest it, man. I detest Xfinity. I detest it for our squad. I would prefer not to have any DNFs. Now we have two. It's a shame. However, we need to learn how to press more effectively. I therefore accept responsibility for that. And we'll have a thorough debriefing to determine how we can improve the way our Toyotas are pushed and perhaps prevent it from happening." That is a true phrase, and it's significant because it demonstrates that he accepted responsibility for both the car and himself. Wallace's core message was conveyed in official NASCAR coverage, albeit in a longer post-care center format. "I got wrecked there," Bubba remarked. "Regretfully, when pushed, our Xfinity Toyota Camry was a little unsteady but still manageable. Perhaps the force of the blow was too great, and as a result, several cars were destroyed. I have to debrief and figure out how to improve." Sadly, there was little to show for it in Talladega, just kind of riding around and not doing much in the first stage. "We approached this location with a great deal of confidence, and it is what it is. After this, we'll move on to Texas and enjoy ourselves." Once more, he refrained from fully shifting the blame in public. He accepted part of it, but many X-fans did not agree with the way he presented it, which is why they continued to despise him. Some said that we needed to find a better way to drive the line because it was too soft, too technical, and too disconnected from the fact that half of the field had just been demolished. Others felt that rather than just responding, "I moved," he was blaming the car and the delivery. "I was struck. The attempt was unsuccessful. I'll take that one." Additionally, the fact that his team radio tone differed from the TV tone only served to reinforce the notion that his message changed based on the microphone in front of him. This is where the broadcast suffered, so we now move on to the Fox viewpoint. After the race, Bubba reportedly said, "Well, I dozed off waiting on you so long," to Jamie Little. Jamie Little apologized and explained that there was a lot going on after a lengthy wait before the interview began. However, the first portion of the conversation and that caustic opening phrase were absent when Fox later promoted the interview on social media. For this reason, some viewers claim that the network is currently removing the roughest edge. To be honest, Fox is deserving of criticism for it. Perhaps it was just standard clipping. Perhaps it was just careless social media editing. However, it appears that the network went with the cleaner version when viewers noticed that the posted clip begins after the sardonic sentence. And that only made Fox appear worse when viewers were already irritated with the broadcast for overpowering the race with advertising. If you plan to broadcast the interview, do so in its entirety. Don't assume that viewers won't notice if you airbrush the awkward beginning. However, the other drivers added some much-needed perspective to the situation. Bubba was not pursued by Ryan Blaney. He really made the opposite argument. "I feel like we all just got pinballing off each other there," Blaney remarked. "It's not as if anyone is at fault. This is what it is. We see each other. Everyone gets bumped and banged. And because the car is so unsteady, one guy is ultimately turned over. Being out early is really unpleasant. That is not a man claiming that everyone's day was wrecked by Bubba Wallace alone. The driver claims that the package is actually a powder keg. Joey Logano was much more critical of the vehicle. "It's annoying," he said. "What are your desires? Do you want to crash or save fuel? Select one. That's how it feels at the moment. These things have circular bumpers. It will happen once everyone begins pushing and racing aggressively, since the automobiles are unstable. We will therefore keep viewing it till those issues are resolved." Unfortunately, that is a huge quote because it shifts the focus of the conversation from the straightforward blame game between Bubba and Ross to NASCAR's superspeedway offering. Even Kyle Larson, who was implicated, was essentially expressing the same thing in more subdued terms. He noted that the race changed from being more saving than he had anticipated in Stage 1 to being much more intense in Stage 2, and he claimed he was unsure of the medium ground. That is exactly what many drivers have been saying for months. These races are caught between awkward fuel conservation and unavoidable pandemonium once the true shoving begins. What is the ultimate decision in this case? Was Bubba Wallace the focal point of the major event? Of course. In front of the entire pitch, was he the obvious trigger point? Indeed. Did a large number of ex-admirers accuse him of ruining almost everyone? Yes, without a doubt. However, the entire picture is more complicated if you read the official breakdown and listen to the drivers. It began with a shove from Ross Chastain. Bubba's vehicle became unsteady. 3 and 4 wide, the pitch was already crowded. Additionally, the new superspeedway package once again appeared to be a device designed to cause complete havoc with a single misstep. That does not absolve Bubba of criticism. He was in the lead. At the forefront of the draft, he was making the decisions. He acknowledged that pushing his group would be beneficial. All right. However, this was not a straightforward cartoon depiction in which a single man just lost his driving skills and erased the field. Talladega is never very tidy. A villain is what the internet wants. Typically, the garage detects a system issue, and I believe that both of those discussions became more vocal after this one. For more breaking NASCAR news, driver reactions, race controversy, garage politics, and all the major topics from around the sport, subscribe to NASCAR Central. Please let me know in the comments and give me a like. Was the big one really caused by Bubba Wallace?